Welcome to the Rebel Thought podcast with Terence and myself. And I don't know what we're going to talk about today. I have a few things on my mind, predominantly uh, Ozempic. I was Somebody gave me a post from the Sculpted Vegan who's now promoting Ozempic. The other thing is what happened in Liverpool. This is when I was away on my holidays. And I think we'll start off with Brigitte.
Uh, Big
What,
fella.
what
Yep.
happened? Her husband in the face. What did you make of that?
Oh, it's just fellas having a wee bit of crack. It was amazing how the
We love
media's
tap.
yeah, just a wee just a wee, you know. But it's amazing. It was just seeing him stand and the automatic everything's okay,
Yeah,
waving him back in again. What do you do that for type of thing?
yeah.
But it wasn't even just one hand, it was two hands into his face. So they tried to pass it off as a bit of they were playful banter or whatever else.
Well, think what you want with
But
Trump, but if that had been Melania,
well,
it would have been considered love tap. But a friend of
well,
mine referred to Brigitte, the but I just thought it was the perfect way to describe. She's the anorexic gorilla,
mhm.
and it's so true because she's very gorilla-ish. He,
I said
emphasis on the he. In her manner, it was just the perfect way. When Agnes says the anorexic gorilla, I was like, that's exactly how to describe her, the anorexic gorilla. Anyway, Liverpool, what did you make of that?
yes, a couple of things. The obviously bad. Somebody jumping in the car and driving through. What's the motives behind it and everything else? Could be somebody panicking because somebody's spitting at your back door. But driving through a pile of people and children and everything else, and you did see a man going over the bonnet and getting thrown away, and then
Mm.
going over and picking his child up. So it's not the kind of thing people do. I noticed the media technique where they step back and allowed everybody to come in with whatever story they could think of so that they could come in afterwards and go, no, these are all wrong, these are all bad,
Yeah.
this is what actually happened. So it's automatically, most crimes that are happening at the moment, they come in with, we can't describe who it is, there's no description. But on that straight away,
Oh,
it's a
straight
it's
away.
it's a 53-year-old white man.
Yeah.
So as quick as
But they
they
deliberately put it out, the guy that was on the ground.
hmm,
They deliberately put that image out.
yeah.
But that wasn't the driver. The driver is what looks like an AI version that's been to Turkey for her transplant.
Hmm.
Between that picture and the picture of somebody in the car, and it's all deliberate to whip everything up. What I noticed, there was the one where who were the paid actors to go around the car and do the damage,
Hmm.
like ripping off a number plate. I don't know where they thought that they were going with ripping off a number plate,
Yeah.
but the police were very quick on the scene, but not quick enough to do
Hmm.
anything at the time. And I think it was to incite violence.
Yes.
And you would be pretty confident that, the football hooligan idea, that doing something like that would have caused an awful lot of violence and
Mhm.
rioting. But it actually didn't. Most people were stepping in to help
Trying
other
to,
people.
but the police kept them off.
And but the ones that were around the car, the way they were reacting around the car was very, very suspicious. When you compare that with the attack in, wasn't it Paris, with the two
Mhm.
girls, you could see the aggression there. It was really strange. But when I heard about it, I was like, oh, didn't that happen a couple of weeks ago in Barcelona?
Mhm.
And it did, very same thing, football thing. And then so I went looking on the way up here tonight. I started looking, was where has this happened anywhere else? Unreal. October 24, Tel Aviv, Israel. A truck rammed into a bus, killing someone. June 24, Indian teenager driving a politician's car, plows in, 5 injured. September 2024, China school bus lost control outside school, killed 11 people. November, China again, man drove into people at a sports stadium, killing 38, injuring 48. Again in China in November, a car ran into a crowd at a primary school, injuring 30. And then the attacker got out with a weapon. Then in Germany in March of this year, 2 dead from another car incident. Um, Barcelona, as I mentioned, Germany, if you remember the Christmas market,
Mhm.
there was 300 injured and 6 dead from that. Munich in February of this year, 37 people injured. Philadelphia in January, and New Orleans, if you remember, there's 14 people. So this is being amplified in the media.
Yep.
So why would it be being amplified in the media? What do
Yeah.
you think?
Well, it's again, it's every time stuff like this happens, it doesn't matter what it is. You always take a step back. Don't get caught up in the exact story. Look at the template. Look at the structure behind it. Look,
How does it benefit the agenda?
yes. So it's these techniques. They'll usually look for somebody, whatever mental disability, somebody easily controlled, somebody easy managed, and they'll put them in a situation where they think that's their only option. So
Mm-hmm.
it's fairly easy. They don't have to know what's happening. The people controlling them, whatever psychologists, whoever supplying the drugs to them, to
Mm-hmm.
their off their prescribed drugs, to leave them in a state so they're just at the point of doing something. So it's fairly easy to do that. It looks like a military technique, but like you had planes being flown into buildings in New York many years
Yes.
back, which used to
That was
be
beneficial to control and surveillance, wasn't it?
beneficial. Also was a technique that was taught to people prior to
Mm.
that, Osama bin Laden being one of them. And he was taught by the CIA to use planes as a weapon.
Mm-hmm.
So it's now it's it's easy to we'll find something that's easy to find, can't be restricted, or something you want to restrict. So we'll get cars and we'll get people to start using them now to stop all this bad violence. We'll have to bring in new impositions in cars, and we'll have to
That's exactly what it's about.
add something to it. Yeah.
That's what I started looking into. So what are they actually doing? Because the media was saying that it was like uncontrollable vehicles. You know, it was they were all very much on the same page. You know, the way you can
Old
see,
model.
yeah.
Yeah.
Um, the authorities were powerless, no time to react. Those are the three things that kept on coming up in the media. So then I started looking at, so what would be the benefit? Well, they want smart cities. We know they want smart cities, so they can put digital license plates on everybody's car, and then they can geofence you.
Hmm.
So that's one benefit of it, so that therefore your car will shut off if you go near a government building, same as they did with the abortion clinics.
Hmm.
But your car will shut off if you go near a government building, a school, or a city centre.
Hmm.
Um, then the kill switch mandate, I figured out on the way up the road that that was actually brought in by Joe Biden. By 2026, all cars in America are going to have a kill switch to shut them off. So this is the problem. The reaction is people is going to be outraged, and the solution is going to be kill switches and geofence and so centralized vehicle override. The other one, and I looked at this came out middle of last year because I remember looking into it at the time, was it's called intelligent speed adaptation. And that is in all cars in Europe from the middle of last year. So if your car goes over a certain speed, they can manipulate the engine, the fuel, into the engine to slow down your car, or you get like visual alerts or audio alerts, which that wouldn't be dangerous to driving if the car starts flashing or like alarms are going off. So really, this for me is a push towards what they're already doing. So like you said, same thing with 9/11. What they did with 9/11 is, oh no, what a tragedy. We need more surveillance. And then with COVID, oh no, what a tragedy that if everybody has a QR code and a
Option
digital
phones.
pass.
Yeah.
Yeah. Same with school shootings. They
Hmm.
did that with school shootings, and now schools in America have more surveillance. So the kids are being conditioned
Yeah.
to be around surveillance, and the monitors, the metal detectors going into the schools. So it's not the terrorists are not going to be the target of this. It's the people that are the target of this. Speaking of metal detectors, on holidays, I refused to go through them again and got a pat down. But Paul was racially profiled on the way over.
That's why I said no. He requested them.
And back, yes. And back, and they tried to then, because they tried to pull me in, and nah. And I just marched on, because you're just slowly being conditioned to
Yes,
just
except.
accept all of this surveillance. And now they're going to move it into cars, and
Hmm.
ultimately, cars won't be allowed in cities. Cars is going to be a privilege of the elites.
Hmm.
So that's where I'm concluding, because we already have them in the cars here. They're being brought into the cars in America, and I don't know if anybody's seen the video of Anne Hesh. I don't want anybody remotely controlling my car.
Hmm.
I'm quite a good driver. I don't need any. I haven't been in an accident, and I don't need anybody. But it's scary then what they can do, because they can remotely take control of your car.
Yep. And everybody talks about technology as if it's this perfect thing. The computer can't make any mistakes, all the rest. I spent my life in electronics, computers, and networks, communications. Here today, I get phone calls from faults where you have expensive equipment in places and they come up with faults. They're meant to do something, but they don't. It's a standard feature. And no matter how much you do to remove all the faults, they will still come in there. So it's not, people go hand off all their uh, autonomy, responsibility to a machine. And it's okay, the machine will look after us. No, I don't. It'll look after whatever it's been told to look after and will ignore things that are vital to you and you don't even realize.
Well, you have atrophy then of capabilities,
Yeah.
because that's what has. If you look at the back of people's cars with parking sensors, they've lumps out of them. And you're like, because you trust the parking. I don't trust anything, never mind a parking sensor. So people don't even know how to reverse park anymore, because they're completely reliant on the parking sensor. So people will become reliant on this technology, and ultimately then you've forgotten skills, and it'll be autonomous vehicles, and you'll be restricted about, well, what you can do, if you can travel,
Mhm.
where you can travel. And that plays into this, it's all in crowds. So if we, and near schools, so it's, if we just exclude them, that there's no vehicles allowed around that area. And it's good, because it's for your safety. So
Yep.
you're trading your autonomy for safety all the time.
Yep. And
Very sneaky.
it's that same thing. It's that people don't see it. Again, you stand back and look at the techniques they're doing. Again, we said it here before, and one of the podcasts was in Newton Ards, something that sounds ridiculous and stupid and laughable.
Mhm.
They're making an area where it's you get fined £500 if you feed a pigeon. That's in Newton Ards. So that's here. So it sounds ridiculous. It sounds stupid. I don't like pigeons anyway. They're shitting all over the place. They're doing whatever. Or it's somebody throwing down rubbish and us think it's okay. I'm feeding the
That's their
pigeons.
logic, but what is
Well,
their reasoning behind even?
it's sinister what's actually behind it. The the law itself is obviously ridiculous, just the same as the one where they bring it in.
Yeah.
We're bringing it in to stop the bad people. This one is bringing in, it's laughable, so of course you let it in. But the real reason behind it is, but at the minute you have a country and the laws are universal across it.
Mm.
Now they can just, as you say, geofence, and they as you drive into a different town, and again it's part of the WF control system where at the minute it doesn't work, but we have politicians who are destroying our country, but they're supposed to be in representing us. But they're looking to replace that. Part of the next stage is they want politicians removed and replaced with mayors in cities. And you'll start to notice mayors becoming more prominent on the news, maybe Derry or whatever else, but you'll see them being brought to the
The
forefront.
White Kingdom. Did you
Yes.
see that? The White Kingdom and the Black
Or
Kingdom, how
sorry,
she
London,
referred.
Delhi, I should say. Uh, but they're being brought to the forefront because that is the new control system that's going to be brought in. Your geofencing, just as you're saying, and it restricted down to cities. You can't travel from this city to that city because it's got a different set of laws, and your car can't travel there because it doesn't meet the criteria there. Even in London, now when you go in, you've got the ULEZ area and stuff like that, but they also have restrictions on lorries. The lorries that can drive anywhere else can't drive in London because they need increased visibility alarms and cameras. So the door, the bottom section of the door must be glass so you can see people beside you. That's different in that city where it isn't in other ones. So they're bringing in, and it's a £500 fine straight away if you call without it. So it is that creation of individual things. And like you were saying, the areas around abortion clinics, we kill babies in here, but you can't pray silently outside it. And if you do, we're going to send you to jail because that's a real bad crime. Killing babies, no. Praying silently, that's terrible. So it's that creation of this as an area, and that area, it's already happened in Scotland where that area has gone past into people's houses. So now they say it's not legal for somebody to pray inside their
In
house,
your own home.
in your own
Yeah.
home. And that is it's that, the change
We're
of,
watching you everywhere.
yes, you can't feel safe in your own home.
Mm.
You've lost all freedom where it's free country, free speech. It's not free if you
Because
can't.
obviously they can't police you praying in your own home. But that's not what it's about. It's to say we control you.
Yes.
There's no safe space for you.
Yes.
We control absolutely everything.
Yep. You can molest children, no problem, fire away. You'll get a wee slap on the wrist. But
Did you see the couple that went
if you
to
put a Facebook post on, yeah.
yeah, a couple in Northern Ireland, just seen it today. It was 160,000 cigarettes and now they were counterfeit, and obviously the worst crime. There was no duty paid in it.
Yes, that's terrible.
She got 4 months suspended. He got 6 months in prison.
Right.
Now, if he had have molested a child,
Yep. They would have given him a carton of cigarettes.
yeah, and because it was defrauding the government, I think that was the purpose of the big
Yes.
crime.
Yep.
So our judicial system is just defunct.
Yes. It's getting much worse with their trying to remove juries. So it isn't a jury of your peers anymore. They've already done it through magistrates' courts, which are just kangaroo courts
Mm.
really. If you go near a magistrates' court, they don't want to record it. So if you win, it never goes any further. So you have to go on. It's not a real court, but it's still treated as if it is. The
Mm.
person that's sitting there isn't a judge. You can go in after a 3-day training course and become a magistrate. So you don't have to be a judge. So you've got the fake system, and that's still not enough. They can't mutilate that enough.
Mm.
So they're trying to remove it so that everything is again control. It's on your phone, your app, where you're walking down the street. They have it to killers. It's not enough. They want to extend it to your what you buy, what you watch, what you post. So you can't. It is 1984. You sit in your house and you say something, and that's it. Automatically, your phone now says
Well,
report
that's
to
what,
prison.
yeah, the communication, was it the Communication Act and the Malicious Communication Act? They're deliberately vague so that you self-censor.
Mhm.
So it has to be grossly offensive. How do you quantify grossly offensive
Mhm.
or obscene? And that's what I was looking at. It's about 30 people a day.
Mhm.
That's data from 2023. Are arrested in the UK
Yeah.
for social media posts.
Mhm.
But out of that, only just over 1,000 are convicted. So not. It's not necessarily that they're found guilty. Most of them plead
Yes.
guilty.
Yep. They don't want to fight it.
Yes, and that's why they're getting those convictions.
And if it's on social media, right, that's your form of broadcast.
But why would
But
it not be all of them?
yeah.
I mean, the purpose that they give is evidential difficulties, that why there isn't as many convictions. You're like, what do you mean you don't have the evidence?
Yeah.
Literally on social media, so you do have the evidence. It's just that it doesn't quantify the criteria. But then you get bad legal advice, or you get told by the police, listen, just plead guilty, and it's only a
Mhm.
£200 fine or whatever.
Yeah. And as soon as you plead guilty, then they move on to a more serious one. Well, you
Yes.
pleaded guilty, so
Mhm.
obviously it's more
Mhm.
serious. As well as that, well, if it is phone, isn't media, and you're working on your Facebook, WhatsApp, or whatever else, so that's now offensive, something you can say on it. Well, surely on UTV or RT, if somebody said something on it, I can find it offensive and they should go to jail.
I find
Maybe,
Keir Starmer ultimately offensive.
yes.
And on Twitter, I'm not calling it X, just name's he trolls people. He
Yeah.
says he's doing all this stuff, and I stand for safety of borders. And, you're like,
Hmm.
and just everybody that's read this going, "Rah!"
Yes.
So he's deliberately trolling. I find that gives me anxiety. Should we all call the police?
Yes, that's it. Micheál Martin down south saying that Irish are not a homogenous group. I think he's mixing it up with some kind of gender or something like that there. So
Mongrels.
somebody had also described he's saying we're mongrels and all the rest, and it's Vikings, and oh, it's never been, nobody's ever been Irish, nobody's really Irish. It's only a thing happened 5 minutes ago. So I can sell your house and your house and your house and your house. So it's nothing to do. Again, people need to realize these people are all traitors to their country. The literal description of traitors. Uh, so they're saying that now Irish people are not Irish for the specific reason of they want to make sure that nobody's Irish. They want to again bring the conscripts in. Catholics and Protestants were getting along. That's a problem. So now they have to bring in something to shake the box of red ants, something to agitate the people. So they bring in people, give them all the old technique, all the money, the power, the wealth, and the people, the majority, they don't. To raise that animosity, to get people who are peaceful to a stage where they want to revolt. And once you revolt, then that's great. It's your fault. Everyone's went bad and the money's gone bad and it wasn't your fault.
More surveillance,
Yeah.
yeah. That's what they're pushing for. I mean, because it's the same in the UK, it's the same in Ireland. You have these leaders of the country, supposed leaders of the countries, coming out and blatantly to hit, like the Keir Starmer one where he says Liverpool,
Mhm.
and like this big post.
Yeah.
You're like, well, that's hate speech. Like, literally
Yes.
use the word hate.
Yes.
But, he doesn't get arrested. So they're coming out against their own people. Obviously, that's going to incite the people, but
Mhm.
they want to create as much chaos as
Yeah.
possible, because the solution to that chaos is going to be, the digital ID, because then have your data and control your access to society, and then to pair that up with CBDC. So
Mhm.
that's what everything. It's so easy to lead back, um, everything to those things. You can always bring it back to that. And again, even if you refer what I was saying about on the internet, if you bring it back to the identity in the digital world 2018, it shows you how they're going to bring in digital ID. So we know how they're going to do it. And that's what they're trying to do. On the internet, they're trying to bring it in for the internet, that, for your safety, so that,
Yeah.
nobody can say hurdy words to you.
Yeah.
Honestly, people need to have some resilience.
Yes.
The things that I get called, but I don't read them, so I'm sorry, but I don't feel a thing.
Yep.
I'm completely unaware of them. And I think that people need to just eat some cement and harden up.
Yeah.
It's like they're so soft.
It's again, you step back and watch the techniques. Over the last 5 years, they were taking away your ability. The air is going to be bad for you. This and
Mhm,
that, the other. You have to put on a mask. You have to wear plastic, Tupperware on
mhm.
yourself and all the rest. So it's that weakening people, pushing mental health, mental health, mental health, mental health. And yes, there is a percentage of people have mental health problems and have battles and everything else.
But what are they
But it's
put for? There's
but
no
it's
mental resilience.
there's a smaller percentage of people. The majority of people don't have that battle.
Hmm.
So they're again, they go for the minority, and everything is catered towards there,
Hmm.
and the majority could just go whatever. So it's that having that strength. If somebody is weak, do you give them another weak person, or if somebody is weak, do you give them a strong person with who's a better example and how to withstand
Hmm.
the storm rather than complaining about it? That's everything.
Well, it's a peg to hang a lot of things on, and I think that the wealthier society is, the more they need a peg to hang their troubles on. It's like there's this just need to
Hmm.
be, a victim.
Yep.
And I'm not a fan of encouraging people to be victims,
Yep.
because you're just indulging and swimming in victimhood, and you're never going to be a victor and get out of it. So I have no time for that at all.
Yes.
When I was on holidays, I seen a post about, it was about the Hunger Games, and it was showing you like starving children, and then it was showing the award ceremonies, and them with their
Uh-huh.
nutty clothes and that kind of thing. But then I was thinking, when I was walking in Egypt, there was a man, he looked to be in about his at least 60s. And he's the only Egyptian I've seen there. Other than that, it could have been anywhere.
Yeah.
But the good thing was there wasn't a line in the sky, because it's
Yeah.
kind of hard to do cloud seeding in the middle of a desert. I wouldn't get away with it. But you were looking at him going, like, that's poverty that we have no idea
Yeah.
what poverty is about.
They might be trying to get us to go towards that.
We are.
Yes.
We're heading fast towards it, because our economy is collapsing. I know that Germany's trying to just force in a military industrial
Hmm.
economy. And that's where Britain's going with their submarines as
Hmm.
well, their attacks.
Suddenly we need 12 submarines. I
Yeah.
remember a while back it was Korea could launch a missile in 24 minutes and whatever else, and we needed a submarine for that. So it was one submarine, whatever it was 120 billion or whatever the price was. Now we need 12 of them. What suddenly appeared now that we need 12 submarines? But again,
Trying to
it's
create an economy. They're trying to create
yes,
to save a Dan economy through the military industrial
yeah.
complex.
It's nothing to do with the submarines. It's
No.
to do with the invoice.
Yes.
So look at this. Yes, there it is. So we can, if we're
Borrow money.
creating something, yep, we can borrow the money and don't worry about it because it's going towards something tangible. It's going to be a submarine. But again, that submarine, it went out into the ocean and it sunk. Whoops. So it's
They need an excuse. They need to continue excuses. Like COVID was the biggest excuse to print money, because
yeah.
the economy was in contraction, and they printed 40% of all the money supply.
Hmm. Ever
Um,
up until that point in history, that was
mhm,
they redoubled these.
massive,
Yeah.
yeah. So that took it was a wealth transfer, and people don't like, if, like I said, if people, their benefits were cut, they'd be out marching on the streets.
Hmm.
But your benefits were cut by 40%. Your pension was cut by 40%, and
Hmm.
people aren't doing anything
Yeah.
about
Because
it.
they don't realize it because it was stole from
Yeah.
under them.
but now they need more and more, and that's what green tax is about.
Yeah.
Um, green tax, about half of it goes to actual green initiatives, and all they are is making some people really wealthy. Because now solar isn't, working out. They know this now, and now they're going to geothermal, and they've a new idea
Mhm.
because they can pump money into that. But we just need to borrow more money and borrow more money. But every time the government borrows money, it means more inflation
Yeah.
for people. It does. There's no way around it. But they're trying to get more taxes because then about a quarter to a third of the green taxes just go into the government's coffers.
Mhm.
So they're not even for anything green. It's just another tax.
Yes. It never goes anywhere. It's all fiction. It's all paperwork. It's all sleight of hand.
And they pay 180,000, but 4.4 million per day to the wind turbines to stop because they don't have the infrastructure for the power that they're generating.
Yeah.
Like, it's insane.
Yeah.
It's just, so, but like, you get the government you deserve. You really
Yes.
do.
It is the major people really need to start looking at who they've elected because these people are slitting your throat.
Yeah.
These people,
They're
I get I
marching in
get banned
coffee.
I get banned from a politician's Facebook yesterday. They were
I was a
announcing.
banned from one that I didn't even know. Somebody sent me a thing to go in and look at it. They blocked me, and I didn't even know they existed.
Well, this one I put on a post and I put on my usual tact. So they were saying how they were going to stop this immigration. I'm going to go now and I'm going to say and I'm going to stop this immigration. And I said, hold on a second. It's not immigration to start with, but more importantly is these people are going into hotels. You politicians signed the check
Mhm.
for these hotels to exist, not yesterday or a week ago, years ago, at the start of the COVID scam and everything else. They were putting this stuff in place. First of all, they wanted to stop small businesses operating. So COVID, close your shops, close your doors because it's infectious, it's dangerous, but Tesco stays open, it's all right. And then once they've destroyed that, they stopped any tourism, they stopped any money influx coming in. Now, how do we keep that going? Well, we take the hotels that would be used for tourists
Mhm.
and we stop them getting into a hotel. We fill them full of people who only pull money out of the economy. And then that leaves it the town and every other business that fed that hotel as you went on a holiday and got out the hotel and went to have a drink or something
Mhm.
to eat or went to a beauty spot or whatever it was, all that's gone. And now again with the hotels, they haven't filled again with not immigrants. They are
Yeah.
conscripts. They are people trafficked as governments has used for hundreds of years. So it's a technique that the government is using, and we need to really concentrate on that these politicians are the ones that are creating the problem. They're not there to save it. They're not here to save us. And we are voting for them in the illusion that we believe they're going to do something for
But
us.
we know they just rubber stamp stuff. They don't even
Yes.
read it. And then
Yes.
afterwards come out and say that they're going to do something. It's absolutely simple to stop them. Stop funding hotels. Stop funding any benefits. Take it home. If you don't know, if you can't remember where you live, that's fine. Uh, Detention centres that meet their very basic human needs until they remember where they need to go.
Mm-hmm.
And a free ticket home.
Yeah.
And that's a simple way to end it. And it's not that I'm completely like I say, I was and I went to America to work when I was younger. We went to Australia,
Yeah.
but to work,
Yes.
and you had to get a visa to go to both of those
Mm-hmm.
places. And a friend of mine, she helped people get visas in the village where I live. This was years ago. They came from Moldova,
Mm-hmm.
and the cost and the stuff that they had to go through
Mm-hmm.
to get those visas and to stay here
Mm-hmm.
was like the husband was working 60, 70 hours a week to pay for all of this before the wife could work, and they were seeking asylum. Um, and I wouldn't agree with it being so hard because they've worked, but they're a great family. She
Mm-hmm.
explained that they both work, they've contributed highly. Their two children are educated, contributing to society. They work while they're doing their education. So it's not to be against that. You want people like that
Yeah.
in your society. They build and better a society.
Yeah.
But one's just coming in draining the system.
Yes.
That's because they know that the ship is going down and they need something to pin it on. And
Yep.
that's the cloud pivot overloading the system. And then we can blame it on the immigrants. No, 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 no. You need to take that anger and direct it exactly to where it belongs, which is with the politicians.
Yes.
But they get off scot free all the time. So, they get a wee bit of abuse on Twitter and they'll be in this exclusion zone
Mhm.
that you're already not allowed to go near their house, aren't you?
Yes, they're not allowed to go near the houses and they stand
Your
there.
stompers to go through.
Aye.
Only if you're a rent.
He's having a fire sale. Aye, that's they were I don't know what they were doing that involved fire, but that's his the devil made a house visit. That's what it was. But it's amazing. It's amazing. It's what's happening is so obvious, and people on the TV, you're being fed what they want you to believe. On your phone, you're being fed what they want you to see. So no matter what it is, there's wars all around the world. There's women and children being murdered and slaughtered steady. But your phone is probably full of one country at the minute. No, if it'll be showing Palestine. And yes, it is atrocious and it should not be happening. But that's happened in lots of other countries and that was never shown anywhere. You're being intentionally fed it again to change your state from peaceful to angry. And rightly so. It is terrible what's happening.
It
But
is
it's happening.
terrible, but we need
Yeah.
to fix here first. It's the
Yes.
same thing, I think that you fix yourself first. And see, when I'm perfect, I'm going to go about now trying to fix other people and judge them. But it's taken me a while. So I think it's the same. You need to fix your own country first. But it's easier, I think, to attach it to something
Yep.
further away. And there's so much good that you can do locally. And really, there's nothing you can voice your objection to it,
Mhm.
but there's nothing really good that you can do about it because
It's
it's a global the world is a very ugly place,
no.
and where we live, we're very very lucky, but it's going to get ugly really really quickly, and
Quickly.
it is
Yep.
getting ugly
Hmm.
rapidly, and we're not doing anything about that.
Yep.
We're not doing anything about the rapes and the beatings and the machete attacks and the attacks on property. And we're not doing anything about that
Hmm.
because we're busy focused on something else. So, while if, obviously if you could press a button and stop what's going on, you would, but you also need to focus, keep your eyes on at home, or when you import poverty, you become poor, and that's what we're doing.
Yep. I really do think we need to change the balance of power and not to politicians. It needs to start again at the ground roots and even say like this estate. People in the state get together to go, I don't want this going on in my state. I don't want
Yeah.
this, that, and the other. So you set up small pockets all over the place where you say, no, I don't want uh, uh, people trafficked or conscripts kept near me or near my school or anything else. If there's a paedophile in the area, that paedophile needs put out of the area. They shouldn't be allowed to maintain a normal life if they want to have that kind of freakish thing. They shouldn't be allowed to settle. And there's an estate close to here. That's what happened. But the locals, all the people in the state, came out in one day, stood outside the house, no violence, no threats, no nothing. And the paedophile in the house phoned the police. The police came in an unmarked car and took him out with their handcuffs and took him away and everything else. So his dignity was looked after, but they're quite happy to put him in the middle of an estate full of children.
Mm-hmm.
And there's been a couple of instances here, and it's the locals. The only reason it stopped, it wasn't police, it wasn't politicians, it wasn't councillors. It was the locals in the estate, the locals in the area came out and said no. And that's what we need to get people to start to move towards. Stop looking for help from politicians whose only job is to lie to you. Start looking towards a
What can
community
we do?
again.
Yeah.
Yes, what can we do? Set up a community, set up a youth club, set up a you've got council buildings down below. Go to the council and say, that's ours. We need that for. I want an event there Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. I want something for the children in the morning. I want something for the adults in the evening. I want events happening and I want you to pay the rates and whatever else goes to pay that,
Mm-hmm.
not a bomb to be dropped in another country. I want the rates, the tax to pay my roads. I want a cheaper electric bill. Why is Ireland the highest electric bill in Europe?
Green
What's
tax.
yeah?
16% of what your electric bill is on green tax.
Mhm.
So
Fiction.
yeah, it's just to get more money off you. They're going to continue to squeeze the middle earners dry, and the middle earners are actually the providers for the lower earners. the rich never get touched.
Mhm.
So that's why our electricity bills. It's like, yeah, I don't want your green false virtue tax. Just shave that 16% off of mine.
Mhm.
It's with taxes, there should be an obligation in your taxes to pay a certain amount towards school, even education would be iffy,
Mhm.
because it's their indoctrination camps. But a certain level towards policing and
Yeah.
amenities. But after that, if you're paying your taxes, you should be allowed to say, tick a box. I want mine to go here,
Mhm.
here, and here.
Yeah. And that would be, it is the only vote that counts.
Mm-hmm.
You
Of
decide,
your money.
you decide where the money goes.
Yes, that's
That's,
why you don't buy Nestle. You don't, if you don't agree with what they're doing, and you just don't buy their products.
yep. Stay out of Tesco's, go to the
Mhm.
town or the shop down the road. It's getting harder to do where the towns are changing into multinationals.
Yeah.
And a few years back, they actually did that. I think Cost Cutters was great. It was always private. It was always family owned and
Mhm.
everything else. And then a person got, I can't go into details, but somebody got into the control of there and destroyed the company and did things that meant all the local family firms didn't want to
Mm.
work with them, and all the cost cutters disappeared. So it was a real,
That's right, they're gone, aren't they?
yeah, it was a real network of family owned,
Mm.
whatever the Americans would call mom and pop
Mm.
shops and everything else. And that's all gone. And now it goes over to multinationals.
Yes,
So
it's
it's,
all the same stuff in
this,
it.
yeah.
Yeah.
And if you pick up a packet off the shelf,
Hmm.
it's got uh, modified food starch. It's got whatever the
Yeah.
worst of everything in it, and no actual nutrients. And
Well,
that's,
that leads us now to where I'm
yes.
going next.
Hi.
Like I said, somebody sent me a post from the Sculpted Vegan. She had like 5 posts about her microdosing on Ozempic.
Mhm.
And I have respect for her.
Mhm.
I follow her, but I was really shocked
Yes.
because I have looked at now she's doing it, she's saying that it's microdosing for like brain fog and whatever from menopause.
Uh-huh. I've just
It's
came.
from thickening around the middle
Yep.
from menopause, and I don't even think it's for that. But I was shocked for she has 4.5 million followers, and I didn't see her talk about any negative side effects. And now what she seems to be doing is she's doing her particular journey on it, and that's fine. But I think that you have a duty of care with that amount of followers to kind of talk about the negative side effects,
Mhm.
because this is just exploding everywhere.
Yep.
It's everybody's even like, what is Donald Trump started with the what do you call it, the fat shot or something on his friend.
Oh
So
yes.
yeah.
There's a thing that's just come into my head. It's just now when you were talking. I didn't realize it. Uh, she's a sculpted vegan.
I think she eats meat though.
It's not just that. Ozempic is an animal product. I have to check into that, but I think Ozempic is an animal product.
It's originally it's derived from reptile. This
Hmm.
is where they got the origin. Was it
Yeah.
Gila monster?
Hmm.
Um, David Icke will resalivate. So that's the idea. Is that they could go like a long time without food. So that's
Yeah.
where it originally came from. But it was developed for diabetes, and then they realized that the weight loss with it, and now I think it's only in Scotland that it can be prescribed for weight loss.
Hmm.
But how the rest are getting around it is that it's you could get, what is it? I think the word of it, like you're at risk of type 2 diabetes.
Hmm.
So it's only supposed to be for type 2 diabetes, but now that
Yeah.
if you're at risk and if you're overweight, then therefore you are at risk
Yeah.
of type 2 diabetes. But you don't have to be overweight to be at risk for type 2 diabetes.
Uh-huh.
So that then opens the floodgates for everyone
Yeah.
to
It's
get it.
it's funny. A few years back, they were telling us that you could not use certain products that were off label for treatment, but
Yeah,
now this
yeah.
is off label, but you could use it for
Oh,
treatment.
it's actually good for everything. This,
Yeah.
they're moving it towards, was it PCOS, addiction, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, sleep apnea. It's like
Hmm.
it's a wonder drug,
Yep. Cure all snake oil.
except
Only
yeah,
it's a Gila monster.
except for the side effects.
Uh-huh.
And nobody really seems to be talking about the side effects. There was 82 deaths according to the British Medical Journal, and I think there was something like 18 deaths reported to the UK drug regulator. I think it was 18 in the UK alone.
Uh-huh.
But the side effects, feeling or being sick, constipation, or diarrhea, or maybe both. Heartburn, burping, sulfur burps. Your breath smells like rotten eggs from hydrogen sulfide.
Sulfur, right.
Excess wind, hair loss. That's in 5% of people. You have low blood sugar or high blood sugar, but low blood sugar causes tiredness, hunger, anxiety, fast heartbeat. Serious side effects then, gallbladder problems, inflamed pancreatitis, which is
Mhm.
potentially fatal, swelling of the um, eyes and mouth. Alcohol increases its side effects. Depression is a known side effect. Now, this is from between Asda Online Doctor and Superdrug. This is
Yep.
where I get this. So this
Yep.
isn't me, this
Aye.
is what they tell you. Because the Superdrug recommend that you report your side effects to the yellow card scheme.
Aye. I'll maybe flick up the label insert
Yeah.
on the screen.
Depression is a known side effect. Erectile dysfunction is a known side effect. But the good news is they have a pill for both of those.
Sorts out
So
as
when you're
well.
taking that, then they have a pill for that.
Which is
It's
also a
also,
mistake. That pill was originally for heart problems, and
yeah,
then they discovered a side effect
yes.
that they could sell it better for. Yeah.
So, and it's a brilliant business model because you're a customer for life, because once you go off it, you put the weight back on.
Aye.
Um, the one that me and yourself were talking about on the phone earlier was Sharon Osbourne.
Yes.
She is it apparently that she has paralysis, stomach paralysis.
It could be. It has left that she has trouble. She can't
Yeah.
digest stuff. So it's gone from weight loss to now it's dangerous side where she can't put any weight
Yeah.
on. So it's
It paralyzes it. The muscles in the stomach don't move the food anymore. They're paralyzed
yeah.
and they cannot move the food.
You can have paralysis of the stomach, paralysis of the colon. You can have necrosis of the stomach and colon as well. So your actual stomach colon die,
Mhm.
which is extremely serious because then it has to be removed, or you'll die
Mhm.
shortly afterwards. So it has to be removed. These are all things that they won't tell you about.
No, and the other one is eye problems.
Mhm.
High incidence of eye strokes. So and there's no cure for that. So it's normally just in one eye, but that's it.
Yep.
Your vision is gone. Then if you lose a lot of weight fast, you have loose skin, so you're still not going to be happy with your body. And then the other one is the osteoporosis. And that seems to be the big one because you're losing a lot of muscle.
Mhm.
Along with that, you're also losing a lot of muscle and bone density.
Yep.
And particularly then for women with menopause, because your bone density, I think, after menopause goes down around by a third.
Yes.
So if you break bones as you get older, it's one of the biggest contributors of
Early
rapid
death.
death
Yep.
is when you lose mobility.
Mhm.
So yeah, it's
And again, it's as with most medication that you shouldn't be taking. Most pharmaceuticals. Somebody was asking the other day, was it about things like cayenne pepper? Cayenne pepper is supposed to stop blood clots and is supposed to make your blood run more freely because it increases the actual function of the cell. It makes your cell do what it normally does better. So it brings it back to normal health. With most medication, proton pump inhibitors, I could go over a whole list of them, beta blockers or whatever else, but most of these medications stop a function of the body. So if I went out now to my car and I stop the water circulating around, the car won't last very long. It's going to do damage. It's going to overheat and whatever else. If I stop the oil, it's going to overheat. It's going to wear out. No, it's if
my
you
concern
so
with
it's
this would be more about atrophy. Now, the argument was made that you naturally produce it in the body, was it GLP-1 in the body,
Mhm.
but you also produce DMT in your body. I wouldn't recommend rushing out to take that, but so it's produced in the small intestine, and then that hormone sends a signal to your pancreas to produce insulin, and then that tells your brain that you're full,
Mhm.
and that's how the system works. So they're mimicking that, but surely then you'd be causing atrophy in your own system.
Mhm.
And then you would be completely if you're on that long term, would you not then be completely dependent on that? So much as what's happened with Sharon Osbourne, it could go the other way,
Yes.
that you could just absolutely balloon because this does not work at all. So it's the fact that there's no long term for me. It's obviously very, very tempting.
Mhm.
But I wouldn't touch anything that didn't, it wasn't somewhat generation
Yep.
tested, that there wasn't long-term data. The other thing is they don't recommend that you get pregnant on it. What they don't tell you is that there's been no test done on pregnant women.
Yep.
And in the animal trials, there was fetal abnormalities.
Mhm.
But they're not telling people that. And I think
Yes.
it's like takes something like 25 days to get out of your system. So if you get pregnant, then, it's still going to be
At an early stage, again,
in your system.
if it's blocking a function in the body and you get pregnant and one of the functions is vital to the growth of a child,
Yeah.
then it's going to damage that. And it's again, if it's for great job, Ozempic, you've lost weight, you look great. Facebook,
Yeah.
Instagram, you look great. But
But that's
people,
that facet. You only see in the good side.
yes,
Yeah.
people don't post the pictures when it goes wrong.
Yeah.
So they post it when everything's going great, but whenever they're starting to look not so good, they don't
Yeah.
post. They'll show up an old photograph or here's a
Hmm.
memory or something like that there. So it will always advertise the benefits, but you'll never hear
Yeah.
about the problems. So it's people need to be more honest on what's happening. And I couldn't believe the number of people who have mentioned, because people mention this kind of stuff to me all the time,
Mm.
and how many people and its fathers saying their daughters on it. And there's been about 4 or 5 people have been talking to recently, and this is my brother's on it, my daughter's on it, and everything. I said, stop it, get them to stop it, don't do it. And it's too early. There's a quick fix, out it goes, and then afterwards you find out the damage from it. But years down the line, just like the recent injections,
Well,
it'll never be
ephedrine in
advertised.
America, that was billed as it was fabulous, and those side effects
Hmm.
from that. It seems to be the fact that they're trying to do it like one drug for all. It's like seen as well with Oxycontin.
Hmm.
So we really don't know what what the long term consequences of this is going to be. And then if everybody's on it and it's pulled off the market,
Hmm.
and you have caused some degree of atrophy,
Yeah.
then you have absolutely no control. And the worst is that they're trying to give it to, for me as an adult, it was the same thing with the vaccine. I told friends and family, what I knew and from the animal trials, and some of them went ahead and took it, and that's
Hmm.
fine because you're an adult and you made the decision, and you did make an informed decision because I made sure you did.
Yeah.
But they're giving it to children.
Yes.
And I went on, so I was like, there couldn't be. Southampton, if you go to Southampton Children's Hospital and you look up, it's not that you look up Ozempic, you look up the semi-glutide for weight management in children. It shows you all about it and the recommendations. So they're already giving it to children, and they had clinical trials last year of children between the ages 6 and 12. This is horrific. Children don't get to choose what they eat.
Mhm.
Children give what their parents put in front of them. So this is a parental issue. And if
Yeah.
your child is at the stage where they need weight management
Hmm.
injections, you really need to renegotiate
Yes.
your parent. And I know it can be difficult, and it's difficult to say no, but that's part of parenting. Parenting isn't being fun all the time. Now I know there's a small fraction of children that really just don't, they are hungry all the time.
Hmm.
I've seen those cases, but it's a small amount. And right now in Northern Ireland, they're actually building was it obesity management service clinics. They're starting in 2026 because we don't have access to these. It says that lifestyle support as well as obesity medication. So it's not about the lifestyle support, it's about we don't have access to this. So they want the clinics
Yep.
so that they can just roll this out to absolutely everybody. And it's
Hmm.
not addressing the underlying issue, because the underlying issue is what we're consuming. Inflammation and obesity, it's comes
Hmm.
down to seed oils and sugars.
Yes. I
And
I grew up, did weights and all when I was younger, great shape and everything else. Then I started feeding myself. Parents were fantastic.
mm,
Was brought up they couldn't be any better. But then I started feeding myself, and I was watching TV and I seen the adverts like Flora. You have to use
yeah,
Flora and everything else, which is the most chemical plastic stuff you ever could use. But you were told the TV that was the thing you
yes,
should be taking. So you didn't take butter, that was bad for you, Flora.
mm.
Same thing again, the seed oils, same thing with cornflakes and whatever
Oh,
else.
they're all good for you.
All good for you. So that was it. Great to start off the morning with
Mm.
your cornflakes or whatever else. And that's what you find out, that actually the reason for there also was a choking bloke on the road up on Ballymoney, a chip van at the side of the road. He
Yeah,
used to stop on the way to work,
yeah,
which also had a lot to do with it. But I worked in a factory for 12 years and stuff, and it was that 12 years of a bell goes you now you eat.
yeah,
But it was what you put in was, and it was only, I think I was there for 12 years, put on half a stone a year, so or half a stone every year. So it wasn't like a jumped, but that was 6 stones by the time
Yeah.
went into the factory, out of the factory. But it was to do with what you're putting in,
Eating healthy foods.
eating those healthy foods. So if we turned around and said again, our taxes, we control what our taxes are used for. If we had to turn around and go say, right, the farmers now, you're paid on the nutritional content of the food,
Mhm.
and you're penalised for the amount of chemicals that's in it.
Yeah.
Straight away they would stop using chemicals and they would increase the nutrition in the food. They would look after the soil, look after the plants. Now, to guarantee that you can sell that, you can sell that through schools,
Mhm.
hospitals, that kind of thing. So it goes back to the people, and people now in their schools learn to eat their fruit and vegetables and things and meat and everything else and dairy and things, all the stuff that's good for you. The stuff they're trying to stop you from taking. They'd
And
rather.
sanctions on the unhealthy stuff. But
Yes.
that's, listen, these are the people, the Nestle's, etc., the people that lobby government. I
Mhm.
remember, do you remember Jamie Oliver did the thing in schools about the turkey twizzlers?
Yes.
And he did the whole thing and he showed you how
How
chicken
bad.
nuggets were made and they were disgusting and you're like, "Ugh, that's disgusting." And then
Uh-huh.
at the end he breaded and deep fat fried it and you're going, actually that looks lovely, bit of barbecue sauce.
And the
So,
Wayne's ate it. The way he would eat this, and they all put their hands up, and he went.
yeah. But yeah, it's apparently on these weight loss injections, your preferences also change.
Mhm,
Um, so you're less hungry. But personally, I don't eat because I'm hungry. I eat because I love the taste of it.
same here.
And so, and your preferences change to healthy. But I actually still, I love healthy food
Yeah.
as well. Um, so it's good in that respect. It's not like it's all negative, but it all for me boils down to the food is designed to make it more addictive.
Mhm,
And big food is already fighting back against this, trying to override
yeah.
what this is doing. And I remember watching a show years ago on Pringles, and they
Mhm,
had electrodes on people's heads, and they were kind of getting that salt fat combination just perfect, that their brain went "La, la, la,"
yeah.
because it's endorphin, serotonin, and that's what they market. And then if you look at what I started looking at, well, what else do they do? They make sugar. The substitute for sugar is like 100 times sweeter than sugar.
Mhm,
They change the structure of salt crystals to
yes.
make it super salty. They make crisps lighter. They put aromas into packaging, so when you open it up, they actually make popcorn and crisps more bland, because if it was full of flavor, you would eat
Mhm,
less of them. So they've constantly manipulated it, and they've gone through the whole Weight Watchers thing. Who bought Weight Watchers? Heinz bought Weight Watchers
alright.
so they could sell cheesecakes and stuff, with the Weight Watchers logo.
Yeah.
So and then you had, who was the lean cuisine? Nestle started lean cuisine. So they've been through all of this,
Mhm,
and they're already looking at, Nestle have ready meals for, they've the GLP-1 drugs. They've already a line of like pizzas, etc.
yeah.
And what they're doing is they're putting like more protein into it, because you're nutrient and vitamin deficient because you're not eating very much.
Mhm,
And they're now exploring it. And they are literally following people on these drugs around supermarkets,
yep.
examining their behavior and their preferences so that they can target them to manipulate them.
Mhm,
And again, their objective is to make it more addictive so that you can consume more food.
yep.
So it's a matter of time before the neuroscientists said, is it possible that they can override this medication? And it's
Yes.
absolutely, yeah,
Oh, yeah.
they can.
And
Yeah,
they'll have to bring out Ozempic Plus and Ozempic Gold and Ozempic something else.
yes.
But they did
And you
that.
have to up it and up it and up it. And every
Yep.
time you up it, you go back to the nausea as your body then gets used to it. But when your body's nauseous, that's for a reason.
Mhm,
When you have constipation, diarrhea, that all of those side effects
yeah.
is your body's alarm system ringing a bell to you. And instead of acknowledging that, people are just ignoring it, and then up in the dose and back again and back again.
Yep.
And I mean, it's a matter of time before big food can
Yep.
hijack it. There's Coca-Cola, was it Fairlife? It's a sweet protein shake,
Mhm,
and people on this are already using it. So they're already at it, and this is just the start of it. And it's a 12-year program in the UK for it. So it'll be a matter of time before it doesn't work anymore.
Yeah. And the rebrand stuff, they'll say, you look at the back, it says sugars doesn't contain sugar, but it does contain modified food starch,
Hmm.
was has a higher glycemic index
Hmm.
spike than sugar does.
Yeah.
They did an experiment with the food companies again. They did an experiment with rats. They put them in, gave them as much sugar as they could eat. And they filled it nothing full of sugar. The rats would eat roughly the same calories and stop.
Hmm.
They put them in a cage with fat. They would eat roughly the same amount of calories that a rat would eat in a day, and they stopped. They mixed the sugar and the fat together and put them in a cage.
Yes.
The rats didn't stop. They just kept
Yes.
eating.
It's
So
that
it's that.
sugar. It's sugar, fat, and salt fat combination
Yes.
that just send us in doolally. But I was also looking at gut health, and with gut health, if you eat unprocessed or low processed foods, like a carrot cut up is
Mm-hmm.
technically a processed food. I don't know why people spend more van about carrots cut up, no matter.
Yeah.
Food the money, easy parted. But that your gut bacteria absorbs about 22% of that.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't get the calories of that. That goes to your gut bacteria.
Yeah.
See, with processed foods, gut bacteria goes, I know none of it.
Yeah.
And as you were saying with butter, my daughter noticed, she said, butter's really hard to get. She said, I said, what do you mean? She says, well, you go to the shelf and it's all like tubs of this, that, and the other. And even the butter, you have to look and go, is it butter? Because it's in the shape of butter.
Yeah.
But that's not even,
If it's as easy spread, hold on a second.
yeah, yeah.
Yep.
So they're making it more and more difficult. Like I don't do the seed oils. Well, I never did the margarine because I put butter in bread like it's cheese.
Uh-huh.
So I like a bread as a vessel to get butter into my system. But yeah, I think that people need to really look at what the side effects are, and not just the short term. So you might be able to override the nausea and stuff,
Yep.
but definitely look at what the long term, because they're trying to give this out for everything. And like I say, when you're looking at Alzheimer's, well, sure, isn't that type 3 diabetes? So where does that come from? Again, balancing blood sugars.
Mm-hmm.
So everything is coming from balancing your blood sugars, which the food companies have hijacked and manipulated to get you to eat more.
Yep.
So it's just this circle where they're just going, and then there's going to have to be something else. And there's nothing that, even when she was saying about menopause, yeah, you're going to gain, well, you can gain weight.
Mm-hmm.
Not necessarily, but you can. But then there's no wrinkles in the balloon.
Aye.
So then you don't need the Botox and all of that. So there's a silver lining to it. And you can't have it on. And at some stage you're going to have to accept that you're aging. And at some stage you're going to have to accept the body that you're in and not always hate it. And like I say, if you are doing it because you hate your body, if you have extreme weight loss and you don't do it correctly, the loose skin
Mm-hmm.
is just, you'd rather be heavier again than deal with
Yeah.
the loose skin. But yeah, for me, it was to not say about the side effects. And it could turn out great. It could be something that is revolutionary and they might not be able to override it. They're fighting for their lives right now
Uh-huh.
because people just don't have a preference for that food anymore. But I would certainly just wait and let it be generation tested, and absolutely do not be given something like that. 1 in 5 children in the UK leave primary school categorized as obese.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the parents really need to step up and change what your children eat. I think it starts with I never did the baby food thing. Whatever we got for dinner went into a wee mini blender,
Yeah.
and that's what they got.
Definitely. Baby food, definitely 100% is sweet as hell.
Yeah.
And that's the nobody realizes it. And it's this wee jar and all the rest. You think it's this has been science has been crawling over to look after it. No, they just filled it full of sugar, and of course the baby eats it.
Yeah.
And that's it. Now the child's programmed.
Yes,
for sure.
that's it. That's the first hit of sugar, and the
Yeah.
dopamine, receptor. You're in heaven, and that just starts it off. So really, you have a responsibility as a parent, and definitely if you have problems with weight, do your best. And children don't hear a word you say, but they watch everything that you do.
Mm-hmm.
So you can sit and say this, that, and on to them, but it's up to you. And I know it is, and I'm easy to get full. I get full easy, but I ignore that.
Yeah.
I see if I'm in a Mexican, I'm so full, still eating and eating and eating and eating. So, but I do understand it's not entirely easy for everybody, but I would err on the side of caution
Yeah.
with that. I think we will leave it at that and see what happens next week. See what happens in the world. No doubt there'll be 1,000 things to talk about.
Yep. See if we're still Irish. Yep.
Yeah, oh, I definitely am because I love bourbon and I love the crack. Well, bourbon's American, but still whiskey, and I love the crack. So I don't need to do any test. But I am a bit of a mongrel, and you want to be a mongrel.
Uh-huh. Yep.
That's for health.
A mongrel's bite.
Yeah, and the thing is, mongrels. Like I had Jack Russell. Now Jack Russell's a posh word for a mongrel.
Uh,
You couldn't. Well, in the end, he did committed suicide. He ran out in the road because he was like 13. But they say that they go off to die. But he had chocolate,
mhm,
everything that you shouldn't eat. He was fabulous. And then you get the wee dogs and the purebreds, and they're running to the vets.
mhm.
And it's actually, we're discussing as a society that we're bred dogs that they can't breathe.
Yes. Hi.
So that's who we are as a society.
Yep.
But yeah, I'm proud Irish mongrel.
Mhm.
Okay, well, get back next week.